of Iran with regard to women's rights. The Congress is aimed at identifying, supporting, and developing the abilities and capabilities of elites and influential women at national and international levels. Special awards with international recognition are slated to be granted to influential women in 3 fields of science, technology, economic, and social affairs. The criteria for selecting influential women have been done among housewives, women employees, female social activists, as well as competent women in digital technology, social media, science and technology, entrepreneurship, and those who are pioneers in areas of culture and charity affairs. On the sidelines of the Congress, a memorandum of understanding between Afghanistan's neighboring countries is expected to be signed to help the girls and women of the countries continue their education and the initiative of Iran's Vice President for Women and Family. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has acknowledged breaking the law by not fastening his seatbelt while recording a video in the back of a moving car. Mr. Sunak was said to have removed his seatbelt as a passenger in the back seat of a car to record a video message. A spokesperson for the Prime Minister told newsmen that the Prime Minister removed his seatbelt to film a short clip describing the action as a brief error of judgment. He noted that the Prime Minister fully accepts the act as a mistake and apologized to the public, stressing that the Prime Minister believes that everyone should wear seatbelts. The video, which is no longer visible, was posted on Sunak's Instagram account. According to Sunak's government safety campaign, anyone who is driving or riding in a vehicle without a seatbelt is breaking the law and may face a fine of up to £500. An historic building in the center of Peru's capital, Lima, has caught fire a few meters from the iconic Plaza San Martin, where thousands of demonstrators gathered to demand the reinstatation of President Dina Boluarte and the closure of Congress. During a national strike organized by Workers' Confederation, protesters clashed with police in Plaza San Martin, where flames began to raise the building. Some residents in the area claimed that the fire was caused by tear gas bombs thrown by police to break up the protesters. According to the son of the owner of the building that caught fire, tear gas bombs were thrown on the roof and the fire started, blaming the police for causing the incident. The building, which is 500 square meters, is considered a cultural heritage site. Meanwhile, firefighters have continued to control the blaze. An inferno has this morning destroyed at least 60 homes in a neighborhood of densely packed makeshift housing surrounded by some of the wealthiest streets of South Korea's ultra-modern capital, Seoul, forcing about 500 residents to flee. Reports say firefighters extinguished the flames in Seoul's Guyong village within 5 hours. Officials said no injuries or deaths had been reported as of the time of filing this report. Mr. Ji Yong-ho, an official of the fire department of Seoul's Gangnam district, said rescue workers are still searching areas affected by the fire, but that it was the belief that all residents are safely evacuated. Meanwhile, more than 800 firefighters, police officers, and public workers fought the flames and handled evacuations after the fire began early morning. Photos showed firefighters fighting the flames under thick white smoke covering the village as helicopters sprayed water from above. And later, orange-suited rescuers searched through the charred landscape where great tendrils of smoke were still rising. The capital skyscrapers gleamed a short distance away. And here again are the highlights of the world at noon. Turkey's Foreign Minister Mevlut Avulusu has revealed that the number of African students in Turkey has increased to over 60,000, comprised mostly of Nigerian students on scholarship. Former South African President Jacob Zuma has declared his intention to appeal an interim court order exempting President Cyril Ramaphosa from private prosecution. The first international Congress on Influential Women is underway in the Iranian capital, Tehran, where the participation of influential, active and elite women from almost 19 countries of the world. An inferno has this morning destroyed at least 80 homes in the neighborhood of densely packed makeshift housing surrounded by some of the wealthiest streets of South Korea's ultra-modern capital, Seoul, forcing about 500 residents to flee. And that was the World at Noon, put together by Olusayo Babatunde. News Talk today focuses on the upsurge of violence against health workers in public health facilities and call for drastic action to curb the menace. It is written by Adeyemi Abodere of OSBC Sports Department.
Commonplace for hospitals and healthcare facilities in the country to paste warnings to patients and their relatives on the rights of doctors and nurses to carry out their work without fear of intimidation, harassment, and assault. Despite current short supply of health workers in the country, those that choose to remain being forced to contend with the aggression of patients or their relatives. In recent months, there have been an upsurge in number of reports of doctors being assaulted by dissatisfied patients or their relatives. From all indications, the authorities are ill-equipped to manage the growing threats. The most recent of the reported attacks happened at the University of Ilorin Teaching Hospital just few days before the new year, where a patient's relative assaulted one of the health workers on duty. In retaliation, the hospital management allegedly seized the corpse of the patient and arrested relatives of the deceased. The reason given for the assault by the relatives was the nonchalant attitude of medical staff, which they believe led to the death of the deceased. Resident doctors in the said hospital had to embark on a 5-day strike before the issue was resolved. Recalls that similar incident occurred at the Osun State University Teaching Hospital Oshogbo early last year and at the University of Medical Sciences Teaching Hospital Akure, where a relative of a patient reportedly beat up a medical doctor on duty. Whatever the grievances, News Talk is of the view that this should have been addressed in a lawful way rather than taking the laws into their hands by individuals concerned. News Talk is concerned with violence being brought into hospital environment as these attacks and the aggression being shown by average Nigerians who are themselves likely to be suffering from emotional trauma. Clearly, anger management has become an issue that needs to be addressed in an increasing traumatized society. The state of poverty in the land, cycle of violence being perpetrated by kidnappers and bandits, and in some cases, security personnel are taking a toll. News Talk posits that beyond prosecuting those responsible for the assaults on health workers, the administrators of these medical facilities needs to set up mechanism to manage emotional trauma and mental health of not only their patients but relatives who cannot handle the news of losing family members. There is little or no counseling for this category of patients. Healthcare workers themselves need counseling to protect them from mental stress and aggression patients while on duty. In conclusion, News Talk recognizes that carelessness, incompetence, and indifference from health workers have led to untimely deaths of patients entrusted in their care and usually get away with it. We urge hospital administrators to create channels through which patients and relatives bring complaints against medical personnel whose negligence on duty leads to serious consequences for patients. This may likely reduce the propensity by patients' relatives to resort to self-help.
News Talk today expressed worries over violent attacks on health personnel in the course of discharging their duties and called for all-round measures to discourage the menace. It was written by Adeyemi Abodere of OSBC Sports Department and read by Temitope Olayiwola. Thanks for listening to The World at Noon. Good afternoon.